Just before dawn, a convoy of unmarked vehicles moved through the silent streets of the capital. Headlights were dark. Radio stayed quiet. Inside the lead vehicle, an FBI tactical commander studied satellite images one last time. The target ahead was not a warehouse, not a safe house, not a suspected hideout. It was a foreign embassy on American soil, protected by international law and guarded by armed security. A place meant for diplomacy, not deception. And yet, intelligence confirmed it was concealing something far more dangerous. For the first time in modern American history, federal agents were preparing to breach a sovereign embassy compound. As U.S. Marines secured the perimeter, no one yet understood how profoundly what lay inside would redefine the limits of diplomatic immunity. The operation had taken months of preparation. The execution would take seconds. And when the doors came down, the man inside would discover that no title, no treaty, and no flag could shield a criminal who poisoned American cities while hiding behind diplomatic walls. This story does not begin with an arrest. It begins with a body. 8 months earlier, a young customs officer named Daniel Reyes noticed something unusual during a routine inspection at a private airstrip outside Miami. A diplomatic cargo aircraft had landed without standard clearance notifications. The crates on board were labeled as cultural artifacts, bound for an embassy in Washington. Reyes followed protocol and requested a secondary inspection. Within minutes, his supervisor arrived and ordered him to stand down. The cargo was sealed under diplomatic authority. By law, it cannot be opened. Reyes complied, but he documented what he saw. The containers were far heavier than expected. The paperwork was incomplete. The flight crew appeared unusually nervous. 3 weeks later, Daniel Reyes was found dead in his apartment. The official cause was cardiac arrest. He was 29 years old, healthy, and had passed a full medical exam 6 months earlier. His family demanded answers. Local investigators found nothing suspicious. The case was closed within days. But someone had noticed Reyes' report. An FBI analyst reviewing cross-border trafficking patterns flagged the file. Diplomatic aircraft. Seized cargo. Weight discrepancies. A dead inspector who asked too many questions. The pattern was unmistakable. The investigation that followed stretched across 4 continents. Through encrypted communications and financial labyrinths hidden behind shell companies and false identities. At the center was Ambassador Viktor Drazen, the official representative of a small Eastern European nation with deep financial ties to Russian oligarchs and Chinese investment groups. Publicly, Drazen was a model diplomat. He attended state dinners, spoke at international assemblies, and cultivated an image of quiet professionalism. Privately, he was something else entirely. Federal agents faced an immediate problem. They could not tap embassy phones. They could not surveil inside the compound. They could not even photograph visitors at the gate. So they worked the edges. Vehicles leaving the embassy were tracked. Financial accounts linked to Drazen's associates were analyzed. Diplomatic flight manifests were reviewed one by one. Over 3 years, more than 40 diplomatic shipments had entered the United States under his authority. Each was classified as cultural exchange material. Each avoided inspection, and each weighed several times more than legitimate artifact shipments ever should. Money trails told the rest of the story. Millions flowed through shell companies in Panama, Cyprus, and the British Virgin Islands, ending in luxury real estate, private security contracts, and untraceable cash movements. A company called Meridian Global Logistics appeared repeatedly in the records. On paper, it specialized in art transportation and museum services. In reality, it had no employees, no warehouse, and no legitimate clients. Its sole purpose was to move money. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source. A former embassy employee, dismissed for minor infractions, contacted the FBI through a secure tip line. He described crates arriving late at night without manifests, armed escorts moving vehicles into underground loading bays, and chemical smells in areas where no cleaning supplies were stored. He also described a refrigerated storage unit in the embassy basement, secured by multiple access codes. He had never entered it, but he had seen what left it. Small medical coolers, marked with transport symbols, carried by men who never spoke and never signed logs. Federal prosecutors now faced an impossible choice. Diplomatic immunity protected Drazen from arrest or prosecution. Declaring him unwelcome would trigger his immediate departure and the destruction of evidence. There was only one remaining option. His immunity would have to be revoked before the raid, not after. A classified briefing reached the highest levels of government. Representatives from the FBI, the Department of Justice, the State Department, and the National Security Council laid out the evidence in precise detail. Viktor Drazen was not a rogue diplomat. He was the operational hub of a transnational criminal enterprise, trafficking narcotics, weapons, and human organs through American territory. The president reviewed the file in silence, then issued a directive never before used in peacetime. Effective immediately, the United States would deny diplomatic immunity to any foreign official engaged in criminal activity that threatened national security. Within hours, the State Department notified Drazen's government. At exactly 3:47 a.m., his immunity ceased to exist. Minutes later, the convoy arrived. Marines sealed the perimeter. No one was allowed to enter. No one was allowed to leave. FBI tactical teams approached the reinforced doors. A breaching charge was placed. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. The blast shattered the silence. Agents surged inside through smoke and debris, shouting commands in multiple languages. Embassy personnel were ordered to the floor. Resistance was met with force. The compound was larger than expected, with multiple underground levels. Gunfire erupted on the second floor. 2 private security contractors opened fire from behind barricades. The exchange lasted less than 30 seconds. Both were wounded and taken into custody. In the basement, agents located the refrigerated storage unit. A steel door required explosive entry. Inside, stacked along the walls, were medical coolers. They contained human organs, kidneys, livers, corneas, preserved for transport. Nearby, agents uncovered a narcotics processing facility. Stainless steel tables, chemical drums, pressing equipment. Field tests confirmed fentanyl, methamphetamine, and heroin in quantities large enough to supply multiple states. Behind a false wall in Drazen's private office, agents discovered a vault containing nearly $47 million in multiple currencies. Drazen was found in his quarters attempting to destroy documents. When agents entered, he invoked treaties and threatened international consequences. None of it mattered. He was no longer a diplomat. He was a suspect. Viktor Drazen was led out of the embassy in handcuffs as cameras captured the moment. A man who had hidden behind international law was exposed under flashing lights. The fallout was immediate. Governments demanded explanations. Legal scholars debated the precedent. News networks replayed the footage worldwide. Behind the scenes, investigators focused on evidence. Thousands of documents and encrypted files revealed connections to cartels, trafficking rings, and organized crime syndicates across the globe. Communications confirmed Drazen had ordered the murder of Daniel Reyes. A chemical agent introduced into his water supply had mimicked cardiac failure. At least 7 other deaths were linked to the same method. The organ trafficking trail led back to conflict zones, where victims were exploited under brutal conditions. Diplomatic channels ensured the shipments passed unnoticed. In total, the operation led to 143 arrests and seizures exceeding $200 million. Viktor Drazen was indicted on charges including drug trafficking, weapons smuggling, human organ trafficking, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. The message was unmistakable. Diplomatic immunity was never meant to protect criminals. The protection ends where the crime begins. The trial of Viktor Drazen became a defining moment in modern legal history. Never before had a foreign ambassador been prosecuted on American soil for crimes of this scale. Courtrooms filled with federal agents, international observers, and victims' families who had waited years without knowing the truth. Prosecutors presented financial records tracing bribes across 12 countries. Encrypted messages revealed how shipments were scheduled, inspectors silenced, and payments distributed. Medical experts testified about the chemical agent used to simulate heart failure, the same compound found in multiple unexplained deaths. Each revelation stripped away another layer of protection Drazen had relied on. His defense argued diplomatic norms, political retaliation, and international instability. The judge rejected them all. The court ruled that immunity is not a license to kill, traffic, or exploit. When diplomacy is used as cover for organized crime, it ceases to be diplomacy at all. Outside the courthouse, reactions rippled across the world. Some governments quietly tightened oversight of their embassies. Others issued public condemnations, warning that the precedent could one day be used against them. But inside federal agencies, the outcome was viewed differently. It was proof that the system could adapt when criminals learned to hide behind it. The investigation did not end with Drazen's arrest. Evidence boards remained filled with photographs, names, and unanswered questions. Financial analysts continued tracing money through dormant accounts. Intelligence teams reviewed diplomatic cargo records stretching back decades. Several foreign officials resigned without explanation. Others were quietly recalled. Ports adopted new screening protocols. Private airstrips fell under renewed scrutiny. For the family of Daniel Reyes, the truth brought no relief, but it brought clarity. His death was no longer a mystery buried under paperwork. It was recognized as the first crack in a criminal empire that believed itself untouchable. Agents involved in the case rarely spoke publicly. When they did, their message was consistent. The greatest threats are not always loud or violent. Sometimes they arrive stamped, sealed, and approved, hidden inside systems built on trust. Diplomatic immunity was designed to protect dialogue, not deception. Cooperation, not corruption. Peace, not profit earned through suffering. That distinction now carried consequences.